welcome back to Big Fuzzy's Transport. As you can see here, I'm starting to get some of my, I'm able to limp around a little bit because I've got a boot on now. I got the cast off, and I'm not really supposed to be walking on this, but if I stay on my heel, it's not too bad. But anyway, I'm starting to get the equipment in for the truck, and I thought I'd just kind of go through that and bring up any highlights. I'm making some changes to the operation, and we'll probably get to that a little bit later, but this is one of the biggest Christmases I've ever experienced, and it's September 13th today. So anyway, let's go through some of this stuff. I'm piling all this stuff up further back, so some of this I'm not going to open, obviously. Mr. Chicken, or young Miss Chicken, she was raised by my wife, so she thinks she's people. And she's a little upset that she has to hang outside. First, we start with the twin mattress, the memory foam. That'll obviously need to get cut down. But that's going in the sleeper berth. I got that's actually has all 6 shades in it. I got the whole set for my F350. Those are supposed to fit. Down here I got one of these plug-in coolers. The set power, it's supposed to work with your phone. I guess there's an app that goes with it so I can control it from out of my reach. And then I got that microwave. That was the smallest microwave I could find that also is an air fryer. So that was my goal, was to find the smallest air fryer microwave. And of course the air compressor for roadside anytime I need air. Might be able to get some air tools on the road too. But next we're going with the gas generator. I have to secure that out in the bed of the truck. I got the block engine heater. That'll definitely run that during the winter months. And whatever else I need to run. I've got the solar power generator ordered, and the inverter or the adapter so that I can tie it to the truck battery and charge it with the battery. So I may or may not add solar panels, but I wanted something I could run inside the cab, and then this will cover what that won't. Next I've got the PPE upgrade transmission pan, deep transmission pan. The main purpose of that, it holds 7 more quarts of transmission fluid, which, I don't know, maybe it'll run a little cooler. I hope it runs a little cooler. But the main function for that is it has a drain. It has a bolt, the drain on the bottom, so we can just drain and refill and move on, because I'll probably be changing my transmission fluid a little bit more often than recommended, trying to keep this transmission functional. Since I just got the XL package, I ordered me some nice seat covers. So I've got some nice seat covers. I can feel like big money. I'm sitting in my work truck. I got the grill screen, bug screen cover. I wanted to try to keep the bugs out. Although I'm heading into winter, some of this stuff isn't going to be useful till next year. But go on and get it while I'm getting started up. Don't have everything. I got a printer, a laser printer, and the specialty paper, so that I can print while I'm out on the road. That doesn't use any ink, and it's USB chargeable. That's the Easy Pass. Yeah, just the Easy Pass. And then I've got a heater. If that solar power generator won't run that heater, then the gas one will. Moving on from the heater, just a set of twin bed sheets, nothing exciting there. So that's everything in this box. So I've got some tools, and I guess it's when you start, if I show all the tools I've bought, The problem isn't that I don't have tools. We live on a farm. In fact, there's my front yard. There's my chickens hanging on the porch, but like a pond. That's about, I think, 600 feet to the road. And so I can't show you the back where all the critters are and all that right now, because I'm not even supposed to be walking on this foot. But we've turned the farm over to my son, and he needs all the tools. So I've literally got to buy everything because I can't leave him without the tools. Because if he needs tools in an emergency, it's because my hogs are in my neighbor's flower bed, which is equally traumatic as if I'm down on the side of the road. All right, here we have just a new impact drill, or impact. And then I was told I needed a 12-ton jack. That feels like a little bit overkill, but whatever. And now this is going to be important for me. A mounting for my laptop that connects to the bolts holding the passenger seat down. And so I'm going to use probably to work on these videos, because my editing software is on my laptop and I don't even have an iPad. I don't know. Well, I'm an Android man, but yeah, the yellow jack, that's nothing too impressive. And then I got grease. I got the dielectric grease and the red grease. Sorry, that's probably not much fun to watch. And so that's what's come in so far. Oh, I can go through my tool bag just because it's fun to go through my tool bag. Like I said, when I show you these, we have most of these tools already. I can't take them off the farm. There's this is just my gooseneck. That's rated for 27,500 pounds, so I think that's all I'm gonna need. That came with the truck. I didn't have to buy that. So let me go get my tool bag and I'll be right back. There's a lot of people that say, man, you could get out a lot cheaper buying used in Facebook Marketplace and all that stuff. But, you know, when you start an LLC, there's a lot of tax. There's a lot of value to what I'm doing here. So, like, I think the war in Ukraine is ending now, but I'm going to do my best not to contribute to it. If I can pay too much for a pretty looking tool bag and write that off of my taxes rather than sending my money to things I don't approve of, then I'm going to do that. So I got all Craftsman hand tools, all the basic stuff you think you need. And I got the adapter. This is all the hardware for the air compressor, all the heads and stuff. And I also got a front and rear dash cam. But so I'm not, first of all, I'm 51 years old. I've been a truck driver for 20 years. And, you know, this is two things for me. This is a startup business, which means you got to have money and spend some money to get in the game. But it's also my retirement business, because the wife and I want to, you know, scoot around the country and get the fuel paid for. And the difference is my wife, let me turn this around. So my wife has a lot of her parents are both passed now, and she has a bunch of business that needs to be wrapped up, both with our farm here. Look at this. This is our pet boar. His name's Hank. You don't get to see people very often with free-range pigs. That is an intact boar, intact male. And he's not our big one. He looks like he's probably about $1.25. He's still growing. He's our next boar. But he was hand raised. He was hand raised, and that's how we do. The first time I had a boar, I ended up ankles up in the air because that boar wasn't user friendly. And it's funny to see these old farmers when they come around, like when we have a farrier come work on the horse's shoes or whatever, feet. You'll see grown-ass men. They'll be just, you know, a random boar mosey around the corner of the house come into view, and they'll be grown-ass men jumping on top of their truck trying to get away because they... And it's basically, if you treat pigs like you treat a dog, then they act like dogs. They're not real super aggressive. I would, now my 600-pound boars, you know, you don't want to turn your back on them, but also I walk in there pretty confidently, just, you know, with buckets of feed when I go out there and feed them. They don't bother, you know, they're happy. That's the other thing too, is if you crowd pigs up on a concrete slab, basically give them prison conditions, and they never see outside, and they're always overcrowded, and they can't ever get comfortable, and you're feeding them what the industry feeds them, then yeah, I'd try to kill you too if you treated me like that. So my pigs are happy pigs. Anyway, they're my son's problem now. But anyway, so back to what we're talking about. When my wife gets all her personal business handled, then she's going to want to come out and ride with me, and we're going to be able to go about half speed because of our other investments. You know, like I was saying, I'm 51. I've been at this 20 years. I'm not starting from zero. I definitely need to work. I definitely need some income. I'm not, I don't have a yacht, you know, that I weekend and, you know, con. I don't go to con film festival, that kind of stuff. But, you know, I'm also not on zero. And so I'm getting it all up front here. Bought a new truck. I bought the XT or XL. I didn't buy the platinum package, you know, so there's levels to all this. There's people that think I'm the brokest man in their life, and there's people that don't know how I was able to get what I got. So we all fall somewhere on that spectrum. Anyway, I got the truck. This is all mostly creature comfort stuff, and there's a little bit of tools and stuff like that in there. We're building the bed and getting all this situated in, and I'm going up to, was it Dan's? Not this Monday, today's Saturday. Not this Monday, but the coming Monday, I'll be up in Dan's in Elkhart, where I'm adding a fuel tank and toolboxes and, you know, all that stuff, getting the bed liner applied. And so that leads me to, with the RV business kind of being, it seems like feast or famine, and this not being the right time of year, I'm actually going to lease on with a Hotshot company. I got a trailer, by the way. I did go ahead and buy a trailer, and it's a 40-foot Hotshot trailer. I'm pretty sure I can put a winch and a center rail on it and switch over to RV when that time comes. But for in the meantime, and it may take a year or a little more for her to get all this stuff squared away. So I'm gonna go out and run Hotshot and run like a scalded dog, just to kind of get out in front of everything, get everything up and running, and maybe even stack a little more Bitcoin. Most of this is possible because I save in Bitcoin. I usually don't have more than $1,000 US to my name at any given point. My emergency fund is on credit cards, which I carry zero balance, but I've got plenty of room for an emergency on my cards. So when I get my paycheck from a job, I take just enough cash to get me to the next paycheck, and I put everything else into Bitcoin. And that's worked out fantastically, as long as you don't need that money. And, you know, the next 6 months, you need to leave that money in there for a couple of years minimum. And mine's been in there. I've been stacking for a little over 4 years now. So the advantage to that is the capital gains tax isn't very bad when you hold it more than a year. And like, I was trying to convince some of the guys that work with me that they need to get into Bitcoin, and you know, most people say they're going to do stuff and they never do. But sorry, I wanted to put this out. When I started working at this current job that I'm at, which was about a year and a half ago, Bitcoin's price was at $47,000 per Bitcoin. And you don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin. Today, Bitcoin has been crashing. It's the end of the world. It's the end of the market. The sky is falling. Everybody's panicking because Bitcoin has crashed all the way down to about $110,000. For those of you who can do math, that's over 100% growth in, a year and a half. I think Bitcoin when I started there was about $47,000, and I've been buying Bitcoin every week, every paycheck. Get 10% of my money goes straight into Bitcoin. Then I do my budget. Then I find out if I can pay my bills for the next week. Then I do whatever else. I always pay myself first, and so that's a big part of what's got me ahead enough. I didn't never really. I always had my bills paid. I have an excellent credit score. I do basic saving stuff, IRA, that kind of stuff, like everybody. But that's whatever, man. You're never going to retire on your IRA. Probably not going to retire very well on your 401k. So I'm going to continue to do that. I'm going to run as hard as I can. I'm going to continue to buy Bitcoin. I'm going to just cash flow this business. If something happens and I have to hit one of my credit cards for emergency, then I can reroute that cash to get that balance on the card back to zero. So that the advantage of that, the disadvantage of that is if I have a $10,000 problem, then I got to try to pay off $10,000 as fast as I can, or I start getting charged interest. However, the positive of that is I don't have to have $10,000 sitting in a bank waiting for an emergency that probably will happen, but who knows when. Because we're all feeling the pinch right now from inflation. And inflation is not the price of goods going up. Inflation is the price of your dollar melting. So if you store your wealth in dollars, it will buy you less next year than it will buy you today. So I don't like to save in dollars. I don't like to hold dollars. I have like I said, I try to keep about $1,000 of cash in an emergency fund. I have my credit card. If I need cash for some reason, credit cards do everything that cash will do most of the time. But if I have to get my hands on $1,000, and if I have to get my hands on more than $1,000, then there's no problem in life that we encounter where that problem can wait 48 hours to be paid for. You don't just wake up one day and you got to have 10 grand by lunch or your whole world's over. That's not how life works. If you got a $10,000 problem, you've probably got a couple of weeks to make good on that. So, but unforeseen events keep me from going all the way to zero on dollars I hold. So that's my philosophy on finance and what's made me able to do what I'm sure other RV towers and other hotshotters may think is irresponsible, buying a brand new truck and loading it up with all the bells and whistles and all that. It's, I'm good. I'm going to be able to float this if it's not the busy season. Now, here's the other thing. I said I'm going Hotshot instead of RV. I could just go RV and probably sit through the famine, burning through my savings, waiting for the busy season to come here. But I'm also, industrious enough to know I can go out here and lease on with one of these hotshot companies and run the wheels off this damn thing, get it all good and broken, get all my systems situated, work through all the kinks, get my stamina back up. I've been in bed for 3 weeks with this cast and now this brace on my foot, and I can tell you that the worst part of all this is how much my energy level has dropped. I went from a full-time farm, a full-time job, and my recording studio in the back of the house there, 2 full-time gigs and a side hustle, to literally doing nothing for 3.5 weeks now. Or this may be the middle or the end of the 3rd week. Yeah, this is the end of the 3rd week, so I'm working on week 4 now. And if we go to town and do one thing and come back, me just being the passenger in the car. We go get something to eat, and we go do the one thing, and I come back. I sleep hard that night. So I got to start working to get my energy back up. So anyway, I've got all the stuff coming in. I'm working on getting my energy back up. I got my son helping me get all this installed. I'm going up to Dan's next Monday to outfit the truck with the stuff that has to be right, not just the creature comforts. I'm doing that. Another advantage of doing that is you're supposed to run 1,000 miles on the truck to warm it up, to break it in before you start towing with it. And up and back, and then up for orientation will be 1,000 miles. But also, when I get back, I can do the transmission, all the early fluid changes. And I showed you my PPE transmission pad or pan upgrade. So I can get that installed and make sure that doesn't leak, because there has been some reviews where people have just give up on it and gone back to the old pan because that one leaks because of the way it was machined. So we're going to try that out and make sure that's functioning before I head out. Get the computer stand, get all this stuff installed as best I can. Go up, get the Dan's equipment installed as best I can. Get back down here. I'm getting the securement package. I got a list of all the things I need. I've got all that on mighty.com. So I'm working on getting that ordered and then getting that in. And that's not crazy expensive. That's not nearly as expensive as I thought it was going to be just to get started and to get everything I need. Also got a torque wrench over there. I forgot to show you. That thing's pretty cool. But so the reason I brought up the finances earlier is I have a financial plan for, I don't have to go out here and be panicking, sitting through orientation and running and just running out the door and praying that I get enough freight to just float me one more week. I do need to get busy. I do need to go run Hotshot for a while and get out in front of a lot of this stuff while I'm waiting for my wife to get all of our personal stuff squared away, so that when she's ready, I'll probably de-lease from the Hotshot company that likes to run hard, and I'll probably go find one of these RV haulers. I may park that trailer, or I may sell that trailer, and we'll just do tow away, so that when we deliver, we're just in the truck and we can just kind of go and do whatever, because I think that's more our speed. And then when the freight's slow, that's fine. We'll just, we'll try to run. I've seen people on YouTube that say it's, 3 months a year of hard running and then it's nothing. And I've seen people who run year round, maybe not as much as they'd like to, but they get work and they stay busy. And I think I've worked at companies as a truck driver where people will say that company is criminally negligent to the drivers. They don't pay them enough. They don't run them right. They leave them stranded. All the bad reviews. They got all the bad reviews. And I went in there and worked, and everything was fine. I made money. I stayed rolling. I don't know what it is. I think it's work ethic, but I'm not. I'm kind of lazy too, like everybody else, I think. So, I do get up on time. I'm a farmer, so I get up early. So I've got most of my work done if my work's not done by 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, there's been a failure somewhere. I like to be wrapping the day up 3, 4 o'clock. I like to be parked. When I was driving over the road, I usually had the brakes pulled by 4:30 at the latest. I get up 3, whatever, and get on it and try to be out of hours that early, because there's still parking if you do that. I didn't I got caught up there enough times at 11:30 at night, out of hours, and there's no parking anywhere. And, that's just not how I like to roll. So I get up early, get it done correctly, get it done safely. I've been one of the top performers at most of the driving jobs I've had at most of the companies because I have a very, very unique superpower. And a lot of us, I don't know if any of y'all watching this have this superpower, but I'll tell you, it's a secret too. So I'm an adult and I act like it. That sounds like nothing special, but apparently that's all it takes. Get up early, be semi-responsible, do what you're supposed to do. When you do it safely, show up on time, and without damaged equipment. That's a superpower, apparently. So, anyway, I kind of rambled on a lot on this one. I got my son helping me get all this stuff installed. We got more stuff coming in daily. We're going to go get the stuff outfitted by Dan's. I'm basically just waiting on my foot to heal enough that I can drive. And, you know, the rest of this stuff to come in. I think I've got, you know, I got a lot of the must-haves squared away, even if they're not here yet. Most everything else is just nice to haves. So, anyway, I guess I'll check back in with you next time there's something business related to talk about. I'm not going to reveal the company I'm going to work with or the brokers or any of all that stuff until, because I get questions already. Who are you going to work with and how much was your truck? And, you know, all the questions. I'm just going to wait and see if this company is what they're supposed to be and acts how, you know, is a good company before I start talking about them. So we'll see how that goes. And I'm definitely, I'll probably check in one more time, you know, show some progress in the truck as that starts to happen before we head up to Dan's. And then there'll probably be a big video after I get done at Dan's, because who doesn't want to go through a truck with all the bells and whistles put in it? So, all right, anyway, thanks for hanging out with me. And as we go on, hopefully we'll keep the progress moving forward, and I'll be out on the road. It appears to me, if all goes well, I'll be door closed, hammered down by Wednesday the 15th or Thursday the 16th of October. So that's, you know, anybody over a certain age realizes that that's like 15 minutes from now. That's not, that month away goes by so fast. I've been laying in bed for a month with my foot up. You know, I just had that surgery, you know, it feels like 3 or 4 days ago. It's been a month. So this month is going to go by fast. I already feel like I'm behind on everything, getting everything done, getting everything squared away, getting everything installed, getting everything up to, you know, all the things I have to do, because it's been a decade since I've been over the road, gone for more than overnight. Even when I ran Florida for FedEx, I was home. I was in the area every other day. So if I needed a resupply or something done or something to happen, my wife could bring me something, or she could come pick me up and we could go do the thing or whatever. So, you know, I'm fully aware of what it takes to be able to walk out and be gone for 3 weeks to a month. And there's a lot to do. There's a lot to do. So, and I'm sure there's stuff I'm forgetting. There's, you know what you know what you don't know, and you don't know what you don't know. So, obviously I know what I know, and I think I know what I don't know, but there's some I don't know is what I don't know. So, we'll see what happens. All right, talk to you later. Like, subscribe. See ya.